his dad suddenly when he was just 21 years old. And from this time, he took on a bit of a father role, helping his younger siblings. When his brother Johnny got into trouble at school, Pop would have to leave work early and go to the school to sort things out with the headmaster. Let's just say he got to know the headmaster really well. Many people in our community know that Pop drove trucks for BP before being offered the job as a BP agent. To become the agent, Pop needed a truck. He approached his bank to gain a loan for his truck, but was sadly declined. Somebody mentioned West Lawn Investments, so he went around to see them, obviously not with high hopes. However, they said, "Sure, when do you want it? Tomorrow?" So without the Doherty family, Pop would have never had his business, and he was entwined with their family throughout his life. Pop spent the majority of his life building his legacy at BP, and this is evident in the video that was made for Nan and Pop during their retirement. This video will be played at the wake following the service for anyone who would like to watch it. While his career was a significant part of his life, and he found it difficult to part with his staff, one of Pop's greatest achievements was his children. Chrissy, Susie, Carol, and Stephen. Pop was a family man and often shared wisdom when he could. In Stephen's younger years, Pop told him, "You don't need to be a millionaire to be happy. All you need is a roof over your head, a place to eat and sleep, go back to work and be able to afford a beer if you'd like." Sometimes Pop may have taken the beer part too far. Nan told a story that he was supposed to be at work one day. Instead, she found out that he was at the Ulmarra pub. So off she went on her bike with two of the kids on the back. She rode over the Grafton Bridge and was on her way to Ulmarra when one of Pop's mates saw her at Swan Creek. When the mate arrived at the pub, he told Pop that Nan was on her way. So Pop hopped into the car, went across the Southgate ferry, and went home. Probably took him a long time to get back into the good book. Another time, Pop was on the lounge at home with Nan, and Susie was cleaning up empty bottles in the bar. Pop could hear the clinking and said to Nan, "I think Susie is a closet drinker. I think she has a real problem." These were Pop's fears. But when we really think of Pop, we remember a kind, loving, and generous man with a strong sense of community. He donated fuel for the community bus, was a member of the CRJC, Wooleye Bowling Club, Grafton Club, Yamba Golf Club, Yamba Bowling Club, and pretty well any club within the area. He wanted to sponsor local rugby clubs, but he couldn't just sponsor one, so he sponsored them all. Ghosts, Rebels, and McLean Magpies. In 2003, he received an Australia Day medal for the work done with underprivileged kids. But of course, he did not want recognition. Instead, he had his grandson, Shane Henwood, accept this medal on behalf of Charles Brown. This worked in his favour, as nobody even knew him as Charles. He put everyone before himself. He was selfless, calm, patient, humble, strong, hard-working, and had a good sense of humour. He has always been known for his integrity. Everything was done with a gentleman's handshake, and he always emphasised the importance of the simple joys in life. Some of the best days of his life were staying in his caravan in Wooleye. He loved his fishing trips in North Queensland. He enjoyed all sports, especially boxing and rugby league. He loved his Parramatta Eels, although when his nephew Nathan Brown started playing for the Dragons, he developed a soft spot for that team too. There's been so many lovely comments left on Pop's funeral notice on Facebook. Here are just a few. They don't make them any better than Jimmy Brown. A lovely man, a mighty bloke, one of the world's truest gentlemen with a heart of gold, who loved nothing more than being the generous soul that he was. A nice and hard-working man, and we have lost one of the best. Nan and Pop had a long and beautiful life together. Pop battled for many years, and Nan was always by his side.
We think he held on for so long because he didn't want to leave her. Our whole family thanks Susie for the dedicated care and support that she provided to Pop for many years. Thank you to the staff at Maclean Hospital. The doctors and nurses said Pop must have been a very well-known and loved man just by the visitors he had every single day. He was loved by his children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren, nieces, nephews, and extended family and friends. We lost Pop exactly 92 years after the day he entered the world. He had a great love for not only his family and friends, but also for the greater community, and will be missed by all.
Thank you, Maddie. I'd now like to invite Don O'Brien to please come forward to share with us his tribute to Jim.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Don O'Brien, and I met Jim through the BP network in about 1985. We hit off a friendship immediately and have remained great friends ever since. I think better than great friends. Everyone knows how generous and what a gentleman Jimmy was. So I'm not going to go through all that because we've heard plenty of it, and everyone know, because of the crowd here, we all know what Jimmy was like. He was a lovely bloke. What I will tell a story about is Maddie just mentioned about not a lot of people knew Jimmy's name was Charles, and that stumbled me across a little story of years ago when Jimmy had the depot. He had to go up to BP at Winstains because there was an issue with the Transport Workers Union over entry into the terminal. And Jimmy went up there and he sat opposite the Secretary of the Union, and with that the Secretary of the Union said, "I'd like you to leave." And Jimmy said, "Why?" He said, "You're not a union member." Jimmy said, "Yes, I am." And the guy carried on with it, and he said, "We've done our checks, you're not a union member, we want you to leave." And Jimmy said, "Well, you're wrong, I am a union member." So it went from there, it escalated a wee bit, and with that the guy turned around and said, "We've done our checks, Jim, and you're not a member, and we'd like you to leave." And he said, "I don't think you're anything more than a troublemaking, half-baked pommy." And I'm not really sure what part of that offended Jimmy, but Jimmy jumped out of the chair and let one rip. So this is the lovely bloke you're talking about. Jimmy let one rip straight across the table. And unfortunately for the bloke, I won't mention his name, of course, fortunately for him, Jimmy missed him. So I'm not really sure whether the table was too wide or Jimmy's arms were too short, but he missed him. And with that, they went and checked up and found out that Jimmy was a member, because his name was Charles James, not Jimmy. And that's, I picked up on Maddie saying that, and a lot of people didn't know that. Another area of Jimmy's life, Maddie also mentioned his love for racehorses. When he retired, I'm not sure whether it was Stephen or Ada, asked me, would I do something with Jimmy with a racehorse because he was lost. He didn't know what to do with himself once he retired. And at that stage I'd bred a horse, not a fast one, but I bred one, and it was named after my brother who passed away, and the horse was called Bunga. So Jimmy and I shared that. It wasn't one of the fastest horses on the planet, but it was a great little entertainer and we had a lot of fun with it. So that was our connection. That horse still lives at Jimmy's sister's place in Wollumbar, Bunga. He's now 25 years old. He had his 21st birthday there, and he's 25 years old, and Jim loved the horse. So that was a great connection. I'll move on from there about Jimmy's punting attributes. Jimmy was a very astute punter. He had scientific methods that he used. Every Saturday morning he would buy the Telegraph, the Best Bets, the Sportsman, watch the Sky Channel and write down all the tips, collate all that, put it all together, get everything sorted out for the day, and he would go down to the tab and back number 7. There's a fair bit of science in it. So I had a wonderful experience with Jimmy. As was said before, he's one of a kind, instant friendship. I'll never forget it. I've made great friends with a lot of the family, and I'm going to miss the guy dearly, I can tell you. I think testimony to Jimmy is the people here today, and we can honour him with our memories of him. That way he'll stay with us, if we honour him with our memories. He, moving on into another phase of his life, I would suggest any of you who are thinking about that phase of your life and catching up with Jimmy, the only way you'll get him is to meet him in heaven, because that's where he'll be going. And I would suggest that, Barnesy, you won't be on that bus. So, thanks for your time, everyone. It's my privilege to get up and say something about Jimmy. He was a wonderful man. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Don, for that very entertaining stories of Jimmy. Thank you. I'd now like to invite Cocky Brown to please come forward.
Hope that's working. Yep. Yeah, just on behalf of Dad and also a little bit on Auntie Edna couldn't make it today, so yeah, she was fairly upset, but the girls are here on her behalf. Yeah, Jimmy, obviously a bit older than Dad, so he sort of, when Pop died, Dad was young, and Jimmy sort of took on that, I suppose, surrogate role of looking after Dad. I'm pretty sure, Maddie, it didn't just only happen in high school when Jimmy had to get Dad out of trouble. I'm pretty sure that extended past high school. He was just a great bloke, Jimmy. Still remember every time you went to his house, I don't think it mattered what time of day it was, as soon as you walked in, it was just, do you want a beer? And I still remember saying no, but I still got one. Yeah, he was just a really kind, gentle man, always looked out for Dad and us, and, you know, always supported us. I'm pretty sure the BPs around here were the most commonly painted buildings and everywhere, just to make sure Dad was still going with work, and Jace with him. Dad's told us a story about Jimmy when he was younger, the character in him, and that was they were painting one day and they were painting with Russell Farmer, and Russell was known as a bit of a speedster. So Jimmy had G'd him up all day, and they decided that they were going to have a race at the end of work. So yeah, Dad said Jimmy was into him and Russell was really keen, so they get to the end of the day and Jimmy said, "I'll bet you $100, I'll race you." So Russell's thinking, oh, this is easy money, and gets all keen. So Russell strips off the overalls and gets in his undies, and they set it up. Uncle Bobby was the starter. So Jimmy even gave him 5 metres head start and went, yeah, I'll get you. So off they go. Russell sprints off and takes off, and Jimmy starts running, and halfway down the end, Jimmy couldn't even finish the race. He was laughing too hard. And Russell gets to the end, turning around thinking he's won, and he's come back to Jimmy, "You get paid?" And Jimmy just said, "Mate, I just said I'd race you. I didn't say I'd beat you." Look, it's all been said. Matty, that was awesome. He was just a really kind, gentle man, couldn't help people enough, and I know for our family, he was awesome. So yeah, he's going to be very sadly missed. So thank you.
Thank you for those stories. We will now watch some treasured images of Jim's life that tie in with some of those stories that we've just heard As we do so, we will listen to My Favourite Memory by David O'Donnell and If Tomorrow Comes by Garth Brooks. Thank you.
Once in a life, you meet someone who gives to you the reason for that life and what some love can do. So now I'm armed for troubled times with all I need. For I'll have you, my favorite memory. You gave me something time can never take from me. A light to guide me when it's dark that I can see. And when I'm cold, a hand to hold to comfort me. For I'll have you, my favorite memory. Your lips were sweet, your arms were warm, I tasted life. I'll have you with me in my dreams each night. Though something calls out yonder now, and I must be. You'll always be my favorite. You gave me something time can never take from me. A light to guide me when it's dark and I can see. And when I close my eyes at night and go to sleep, you lie in there, my favorite. ones in my life who never knew how much I loved them. Now I live with regret, my true feelings for them never were repeated. So I made a promise to myself, say how much she means to me, and avoid that circumstance where there's no second chance to tell her how I feel. But if tomorrow never comes, does she know how much I love her? And I try in every way to show her every day that she's my only one. And in my time on earth, she must face this world without me. Is the love I gave in the past gonna be enough to last if tomorrow never comes? So tell that someone that you love is what you're thinking of if tomorrow never comes.
Thank you for sharing those wonderful images with us. When we come to the end of our days and the votes are tallied about life, we are measured for what is important. Did we have a heart? Did we love people? And did people love us? Did we give more than we took? Were we thoughtful, kind, easy to be with? Were we fun? Did we have a sense of humour? And ultimately, will we be missed? Today, to all of those questions, we can say a resounding yes about Jim. And time stands still as we stand here to acknowledge that Jim has touched our lives. He has left an imprint on our hearts, and that we're eternally changed because of the part that he played in our lives. And Jim has laid the foundation for many lives in his significant contribution to family, friends, and our community. When you look through the whole world, there is no one quite like Jim. And the void that he leaves cannot be filled. But whilst he is no longer a visible part of our lives, he still lives on in our hearts and our minds. Or as Don said, in our memories. That is how we can keep him alive. Those we love are never really lost to us. We feel them in so many special ways. Through family they always cared about, and dreams that they left behind, in beauty that they added to our days, in words of wisdom that we still carry with us. It is you who carry the memories of his smile, his laughter, the good times together, in his kindness and care. And it is in those memories and in the genes and character traits of those who come after us that he will always live. So let us make Jim not just a part of the past in our memories or the present in our grief, but very much a part of our future decisions, actions and lives. And Jim lived a life that was meaningful. He made our world a better and more interesting place. The work now is left to us, the living, to carry forth the beauty and the joy of the life which has been taken from us. And where we weep, Jim would have us laugh. And where we mourn, Jim would have us rejoice. But we know that he will forgive us our grief, for to grieve is to love. To love is to cherish, and to cherish is to give praise and give thanks for the life that has blessed us all. It is therefore that I ask those that can, please be upstanding as I say the words of committal. We say farewell to Jim Charles James Brown in sadness at his death, but in gratitude of his life and the special privilege of sharing in it. Lovingly and tenderly, we return his body to the elements from which it came. We give thanks for his life. We remember with gratitude his deep love for his family and friends and his beautiful, generous heart. And Jim, your kind and caring heart, we commit to our memories. Your love, care and friendship, we commit to our hearts. We thank you for all that you were and all that you gave. Rest peacefully now at the end of your days, reunited with loved ones gone before you. While we are standing, could you please join me in saying the Lord's Prayer? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Could you please be seated? Family and friends, we have come to the end of our service today. We have shared some stories and we certainly had a few laughs as well. We have cried and we have reflected on Jim's life. We have paid tribute to him and we have said goodbye. Thank you for coming together to honour and celebrate him. On behalf of Ada and the family, you are kindly invited to stay after today's service for light refreshments upstairs here at the Jockey Club, where you can spend some time with one another and perhaps share some of your own special stories that you have of Jim. As we leave here, we are going to listen to the beautiful song Amazing Grace by Leanne Rhymes. During the song, our funeral director Sharon will come forward and she will assist with our pallbearers. So could those pallbearers please come forward now? I'd also like the relatives of Jim to come in and follow in afterwards as we make our way to the hearse. Go forward today with your memories of Jim. May they begin to bring comfort rather than hurt and pain. May the words, touch and presence of others bring you peace. Could everyone please be upstanding as we give Jim the standing ovation he deserves as we listen to Amazing Grace. Thank you.
Actually, for a job at GP, he was a truck driver. And so ended up truck after that.
That's when it started.
Yeah.
With your uncle, wasn't it?
No.
Before that.
Dad was
Yeah, so there you go. Dad's his father was a man real bakery. He wasn't good at oldest.